And now, for the second session, we are going to talk about optimizing growth funnels, reach, and activation. You'll notice that week on week, we are going to dive deeper into each of the topics, right? Initially, we started with the basics, and then we are diving deep into each of these topics. So, this week, we are going to talk about everything from growth funnels and how do you optimize them, how do you expand your reach, how do you activate your users, right? Everything that covers this. And the idea is by the end of 6 weeks, you'll have mastered the art of product growth. That is what we want to do. And like you see, topics 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, this will give you a very comprehensive overview of what is coming on, right?
So we'll take a quick example of optimizing reach, and this is a real life example which we did at Ixigo. So we were setting up ads on Facebook and Instagram, and there's a feature called as a dynamic ad. So especially for travel, dynamic ads for travel, where instead of just showing, let's say, a simple generic ad to everybody which says, okay, flight prices starting from 2,000 rupees and you get a 500 rupees cashback, etc., etc. We decided to run a dynamic ad. So what it does is, let's say if anybody came to Ixigo and they search for let's say the Aizwal or Bangalore flight, right, or Ahmedabad to Bhubaneswar flight, and they did not book, right, they dropped off. So what we do is we retarget that user after, let's say, a 12-hour or 24-hour window, and we show them the exact same flight route, that same flight sector, and we give them the exact price, and we tell them that, okay, use this code and you can save extra 1,000 rupees, right? Now, and by the way, this flight is for the same date that the user searched for. Now you look at the difference, right? Instead of a very generic ad, this is so personalized that, because especially say, I mean, try and remember the situation you were trying to book a flight the last time, right? And I'm sure, like, 50% of the time you're just thinking about that flight. Okay, you have to book that, and what are the price? It's so high. Should you book right now, or you waiting for somebody's confirmation, etc.? But that's always on the mind, right? And that's exactly the time when the brand hits you with this ad, and then you are like, no, this is the time you're getting an offer, and you book it right away. And trust me, it increased our flight bookings by 74% as compared to a generic ad. Now this is the kind of innovation, this is the kind of optimization you need to do for improving your reach, for improving your activations, etc., right? I think lastly, we'll just quickly cover, as part of the reach, we will quickly cover some metrics, right? So that you understand and apply some of these metrics. So the first metric that you should understand, and this is with respect to paid marketing mostly, which is called as a cost per milli impression. Milli is nothing but thousand. So CPM is the short form, which is for cost per thousand impressions. Now let's say if you run a YouTube ad or a Facebook ad, you will start seeing a metric there. What is the CPM of the ad? CPM will be, if let's say the ad has been seen by 10,000 users, and Facebook charged you 1,000 rupees, right? So how you will calculate a CPM is 1,000 divided by 10, because it's 10,000, so you only take 10 there, and it will be 100 rupees CPM. Okay. Now CPC is a cost per click. So let's say you spend 10,000 rupees and you realized only let's say 500 people clicked on it, right? So what you do is you take 10,000 rupees divided by 500 clicks, which will give you, let's say, 20 rupees cost per click, right? So for every click, every person who clicked on the ad, you were paying 20 rupees effectively, right? Then another metric is cost per install. Let's say if you're running an app campaign, and out of 10,000 rupees spent, you realize that, okay, 100 people installed the app at the end, right? So you take 10,000 divided by 100, and you realize your cost per install comes out to 100 rupees. Okay. Then there is another metric as a cost per action. Now, action can be defined in whichever way. Action can be registration, it can be order, it can be like a purchase or anything like that, right? Or let's say a free trial in case of SaaS or B2B products, it can be a free trial. So for you, or it can even be a lead submission, right? So what you do is, let's say you run an ad, let's say you spend 10,000 rupees, and you realize that ad resulted in only 10 leads. Okay, just 10 leads, right? And these are high value leads. Let's say if it's for a car manufacturer, like, a car distributor, right? So they put 10,000 rupees and they receive 10 leads for a particular high value car. It's like 1,000 rupees per lead, and now they will give these lead to the sales team and they will call, etc. But at least the metric that they are measuring is at a CPA or a cost per action. which is 1,000 rupees. Now, let's say if Google can give them the same number of leads at 5,000 rupees, which will become like a 500 rupees CPA, they will start sort of moving their entire budgets to Google, right? Why not? Because it'll give you more number of leads at the same price, right? Then there's something called as the average order value, which is again very popular with like the e-commerce and D2C space, which is like, what is the average order value for your customers. Then there is conversion rate, which is if let's say out of 100 people, only two people converted, right? 100 people install your app, but only two people purchased. That is the conversion rate. So 2% of your total installers or users are converting. It results as a conversion rate. And then there is CAC and CLTV. So customer acquisition cost is like the total cost to acquire a paid customer, and customer lifetime value is, let's say, if you've acquired a customer and the customer, let's say, for a lifetime of 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, whatever, purchases, let's say, the product for like 5 times, right? And the average order value is 1,000 rupees. So the CLTV will become 5,000 because the customer has purchased 5 times, right? So you do 1,000 multiplied by 5. CLTV is also important for, let's say, the recurring payments, or like, especially in SaaS businesses where let's say you have a monthly subscription, right? You definitely should start capturing CLTV, because on a monthly basis, you would also know what's the average customer lifetime. If it's 8 months, then you increase that, and then you would know, okay, if let's say 1,000 rupees, 8 months, 8,000 is a CLTV. The insight they can draw out of it is that you should not spend more than 8,000 rupees to acquire your customer. Otherwise, it becomes a loss making situation for you.
Like we've covered the acquisition part of things, I think one of the most important things for any B2C or B2B brand today is how does he make sure the onboarding and activation is as smooth as possible. And many of you asked this question around how do you get to the right activation metric and so on, and we'll answer that right away in the next 10 odd minutes. Like Himanshu said earlier, activation is essentially the aha moment, and in 90% of the times that stands true, where the user actually realizes the value of the product. Like this kid that you see here who's having this ice cream actually realizes the value the product brings to him, and gets him that satisfaction of having the product that he's having, right? So, and let's look at very simple examples of how this happens, right? Like when a lot of us maybe 10 years back moved from SMS to WhatsApp, a lot of us would have had this aha moment, right? Like you get to know that the message is delivered, you get to know that the message is read, and you literally go crazy when you know that the person on the other side is typing and you get to know that, right? So in the initial days, technically for WhatsApp, this was the aha moment, because a lot of these features were not a part of the regular cycle for the user when he was text messaging. But coming to WhatsApp, users kind of were surprised seeing some of these things happen. Of course, some of this is very normal today, but the fact that this is what aha moment is, when the user actually sees value in the product that he is using. Let's look at some more examples, right? Where let's say for Hotstar, and these are some interactions we've had with some of these brands, some from our experience working with these brands. We've kind of understood this. Like Hotstar says that if a user watches our content for more than 15 minutes, that we treat as activation or the aha moment. And the whole logic behind that is the fact that if a user ends up watching their content for about 15 minutes, he tends to get retained for longer, and most possibly goes ahead and becomes a paid subscriber. And that's how they would have ideally come down to this particular metric. And then we'll cover how you can derive your own activation metric as well. But that's essentially what Hotstar said. Pharmacy said any user placing more than 3 orders, like the moment they place 3 medicine orders with us, it the user tends to get retained with us, and that's why we say that's our activation metric. And in this case, the aha moment could actually come even from the first order, but pharmacy says my activation metric is possibly a few more orders down the line, and which is where 90% of the times they are same. This is that 110% where they're slightly different. Same for Zepto, they would say more than 2 orders with delivery within 10 minutes, because that's what their commitment is. And which is where the delivery time also becomes an important component of measuring activation. Baiju says about 3 videos for 7 minutes in the initial 2-3 days. If that's what's being consumed by the child and let's say in a lot of cases the parents along with the child, I think is what they treat as their activation metric. And for us, like from a B2B perspective, reports of campaigns, users would send out from the platform, or analytics that they would view on the platform, and the same by this music learning app where they actually personalized the experience. The experience was gamified by itself, but they also personalized the experience using nudges, and you would see the entire process where the user is actually being guided. Plus there is gamification involved, where you take the first module, you take the first lesson in the first module, go to the next section, and there is someone who's actually telling them what is the next step to be done, and so on and so forth, right? So you would see different steps which are being used here to make sure that they're nudging the user and guiding him to the next stage, basically. The same way, like we spoke about some of these nudges, we also mentioned this whole point around experimentation, right? And which is where I think being able to do nudges on the fly, A/B tests on the fly, I think become equally important. Like again, in this case, you would see the home screen banner. The variant one actually has the banner at the top, and the variant one has banner at the bottom, and you could essentially test this and see if what gets you better clicks or what gets you better performance. And actually MPL tried this out and saw different results, and then made sure that the best one got implemented for all the users who came onto the platform. Same stands true for where they actually did an A/B test with the joining bonus. Like a lot of us would have used some of these gaming platforms where you have a joining bonus of 100 or 10 or 20 rupees or so on. They actually did an A/B test between giving 100 rupees on day zero, or giving rupees 10 every day for the next 10 days, right? And seeing what really works out better. And until you do an A/B test, you don't really know which one is going to perform better in terms of retention. But doing these A/B tests and experiments is very, very crucial for you to make sure that you are optimizing conversions to the nth level, and getting better activation because of it.